probably nobody in the room has any experience of negative emotions, so it may not be so relevant, but you may know some other people that have some negative emotions. And you may want to be able to extend a helping hand for those people. This presentation is part of a 4-part series. Some time ago, we conducted a body, mind, spirit retreat at a farm community in mid-Pennsylvania. Nice place called Gita Nagari, not far from Penn State College, Pennsylvania. And there are 4 parts, and I'm just going to be conducting one part. The theme is 4 keys in dress and practical. The first part is conceptual, but we're going right to the practical. Overcoming negative emotions. Oh, the slides are not working. Let me change it. There we go. Oh, may have to stand right by the tree. No, it was just the red button was on instead of the green button. To stop instead of the go. Okay, overcoming negative emotions. There's some interactive sessions, and that means, you know, some little groups, and you can share with your group on some topics. Navigating through negative emotions, 4 keys. So bear in mind, this is after a conceptual of, you know, the territory of negative emotions and what to do, how they come. So this is dealing with them, the practical. And there's 4 parts. We'll go through them one by one. Power of acceptance, power of goals, power of introspection, power of moving forward. Power of acceptance. And if technology works right, this is a little security camera in a workplace. And the gentleman down here in the bottom gets really angry with his computer because it's not responding. This is the uncontrolled emotion example, temporary insanity. So you're going to see he starts banging his computer keyboard. The people in the office stand up and look over and say, what's going on with this guy? He leaves, it's quiet, he comes back with a sledgehammer and smashes the computer and the keyboard. It's all caught on security camera. He probably didn't get a raise. And I hope the technology works. Okay, the sound was working before. Where's our technician? There he's banging. Okay. He goes out, comes back into it a little bit, literally with a sledgehammer. Notice the people in the other workstations are wondering what's going on. So that's when negative emotions get out of control. And then another do not is repression of negative emotions. That doesn't work because negative emotions, when repressed, it can lead to depression or it can lead to passing on that negative emotion to others because it's got to go somewhere. So sometimes bullying happens. Maybe it sometimes happens in people that you know, especially young people, but not just young people, bullies are of all ages. And this is an example of, it's called self-sabotage. Maybe you know somebody like this. I know a couple of somebodies like this. If they don't have a calamity, they create one. And because they live in that toxic state and they just have to have a negative emotion to deal with. And just like sawing the limb of a tree and then waiting to hear it crack and then feeling panic-stricken because the limb of the tree is cracking. Maybe you know some people like that. That neither unrestricted expression of negative emotion nor tucking it under the rug. So here's a discussion topic in general. We'll touch on it in a couple of places. How should we process our emotions? So you're going to get a chance to discuss this. Power of acceptance. For example, one day a man looks in the weather report, says nice sunny day, he decides to go for a walk on the boardwalk, and sure enough it rains. Fortunately there's a man selling umbrellas, so he got an umbrella and there he was. He was expecting something nice and something other than nice happened. And life is like that sometimes. You have to have a plan. And you have a plan and it doesn't always work that way. For example, there could be financial challenges, there's the list, and so on. And when you're facing unexpected challenges, it can seem very formidable. Like you're going to get whooped by that challenge. And when you're battling with those negative emotions, that's what our topic is. What do you do? Sometimes the negative emotions seem to get the best of us, and that's called depression. And in the state of depression, one holds oneself, this is what people that work on this professionally say, it not only disempowers you, but you feel completely confined by the circumstance that the cause of the negative emotion, and the negative emotion itself becomes the jail cell. Here's one lady, this is her profession, Dorothy wrote, depression is a prison where you're both a suffering prisoner and a cruel jailer, meaning you have the key, you can get yourself out of jail, but you don't use it because you're feeling depressed. So now what to do? When negative emotions become very strong, that's our topic, what to do. The denying, we already went through this, but repeating it. Tucking the negative emotion under the rug doesn't work. There are people that work in this field that I know personally, their skill. Maintaining resentment towards the situation that causes the negative emotion, that doesn't help. It's further disempowering, or further keeps you a prisoner. You know, the person or the thing or the circumstance, there's nothing you can do about. And you continue to feel resentment towards the circumstance or the person or the thing. Doesn't help the negative emotion. It continues to debilitate and accelerate that negative emotion. So one of the first things that's recommended by people that are in this profession is you look it in the face. You know, the circumstance or the person or the whatever it is that's the trigger, you look at it. You don't look away from it. You don't pretend that it's not there. It's there. You know, the saying in stress management goes like this: life throws rocks at you, and it hurts. And then what do? You know, don't pretend there wasn't a rock or that it doesn't hurt. There's a rock and it hurts, and you toss the rock up in the air a few times and consider what your options are. So, but you have to look at the circumstance, that whatever it is that's triggering the negative emotion. Not like stare it down and it evaporates, but don't run away from it. Or don't like have that emotional outburst that some people do. Here's a little example. Romance. where he says to her, or vice versa, I can't live without you, and statistics show, some of you are probably married, 18 months later, there's another something that happens. Can't live with you. Or some other kinds of negative emotion that sometimes happens, usually happens, statistically it happens. And when that negative emotion comes, then what? Well, in real life, you live up here in Oswego, so there's enough storm or weather. So when it's this kind or the other kind of bad weather, and it's time to go to work, what do? Go to work. I mean, some people don't. But most people, despite the weather, you go to work. And so, as with the outside weather, of course you take precautions, but the same when there's this negative weather in the mind, this connects with the second key, which is have a goal, you have a purpose, not just, so you can pay your bills, but the higher sense of purpose, there's a purpose that you meant to fulfill. Purpose that you're meant to fulfill. And I can't remember, some of you, how many here know of Viktor Frankl? A few. Viktor Frankl. I'll introduce you to Viktor Frankl. He was a Jewish man in a Nazi concentration camp during World War II, and he survived. And one of the reasons, in his own words, of why he survived is he had a purpose to fulfill awaiting him after he was out of the concentration camp. And the purpose was to help people who are confined by circumstances. There's nothing they can do about it. There are some circumstances that are like that. There's some circumstances you could do something, but there was nothing he could do. And he wanted to help people who feel, at least, confined by circumstance, and how to deal with the negative emotions that are the consequence of that circumstance. So he survived. I'll say it again. He attributes part of his survival was his conviction that there was a mission awaiting for him to be fulfilled, a purpose in life, in his words, a purpose in life awaiting for him to be fulfilled. And that was his strength in dealing with the negative emotion. The circumstance was there, the pain was there, the emotion was there, but there was a mission or a purpose to his life awaiting to be fulfilled. And he fulfilled it in a grand way. When the war was over, he became a writer and a speaker and a person that helped many, 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 many people, because he knew from the inside how to deal with negative emotions when circumstances don't permit a change in circumstance. Sometimes it's like that. So that when there's weather in the mind, if you have this key number 2, a purpose or a purpose in your life that's awaiting for you to fulfill it, something not just casual, but something deeper, then you have strength beyond normal person's strength. And the external thing is that's causing the difficulty. You tolerate it because it's temporary. That's another key item to all of this. And there is something that it's waiting for you to be fulfilled. Same idea. Some of you know what is Bhagavad Gita. I see a Bhagavad Gita on the table over here. Can I hold your Bhagavad Gita? Thank you. I'm going to make reference a few times to Bhagavad Gita. It's a text written in Sanskrit, part of a big epic. Mahabharata is the philosophical portion. It's describing yoga systems, different types of yoga systems described in Bhagavad Gita. And here's one text from chapter 2. The non-permitted appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of the winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception And one should learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Tolerating is one thing, and not being disturbed is another thing. But the deeper you go into this deeper purpose of life, we'll call it a spiritual purpose of life, or your calling in life, that the purpose of your life in this lifetime. So we're going to ask you to think about it for 30 seconds at least. What's waiting for you to be fulfilled in your life? And when that is clear, you may not be there yet, but when it's clear, then you can keep moving forward despite circumstances. It's not just tolerating biting a bullet, but being undisturbed even when there's disturbing circumstances. So here's a little example. This is the example of acceptance. So you have a plan. The plan is you want to have a nice little gathering with some friends. It's a nice summer day, sun is bright, and you've got the flu. You don't want to infect other people. Besides, you feel miserable. So what do? Well, you put something in your head. You don't go. You accept it's just part of, sometimes things don't go the way they're planned. Resenting the reality of having the flu or whatever else is restricting you from being what you want to be or doing what you want to do, that resentment can be more hurtful, health-wise and otherwise, mentally, and then physically, than reality itself. You can bring physical sickness. Just the resentment of circumstances. It's debilitating, not only to the mind, but to the body. Here's Mother Teresa speaking the same, different way. Some people come in our lives, our life, as blessings. Some come in your life as lessons. So lessons are welcome, but sometimes it's uncomfortable. But that's also a nice lesson, how to deal with it, be uncomfortable. So far, so good with this little boy. He seems to be content, but let's see what happens when he starts running around and doing what most little boys like to do. Let's see what happens. And that could be, a lesson in being tolerant and doing what else is needed to help him feel happy. So, people come in our lives, or circumstances come in your life that are challenges. That's the word that was used before, so she's calling it lessons. There's some growth that can happen when there's something that's unpleasant or not planned. Sometimes people say acceptance is weak. However, accepting in the higher sense is not cowardice, it's not being defeated. It's being able to deal with the circumstance and the negative emotion connected with the circumstance and continue to move forward, and that's a position of strength. Rather than dwelling on the event or past events, it's empowering. It's forward directional. Nice example. Everyone knows this gentleman. And he was born in a defective condition, so one could say, oh, what misfortune. And it was certainly misfortune. But through acceptance and then having a mission or purpose in his life, of course he has very specific capacity, and he used it. And he did a lot of wonderful things, despite the circumstance over which he had no control. So not everyone's going to be a success story like Stephen Hawking, but the principle is illustrated. Circumstances are what they are, the acceptance of the circumstances because they are what they are. Now how do you move forward? What's the path for you to move forward on? There's a nice example. This is, can you see the pictures very well? There's the contrast. There's a lot of light in the room. This is a story, it's a history of a king. The The Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna to Arjuna. And Arjuna had a grandson whose name was Parikshit, and Parikshit became the next king after they were kings, he and his brothers. And misfortune came to him. He made a mistake. He acted in an improper way to a sage who was in meditation in his little cottage. And when he acted improperly, the son came to know, and the son cursed the king. You should die. His powerful spell that he cast by mantra, and the king heard that he was going to die in 7 days. So he gave up his kingdom, gave the kingdom into care of his son, and he went to the side of the Ganges. And as you see over here, there's many sages. And way over on the left, there's a 16-year-old Shukadeva Goswami who came to instruct him about how to prepare himself to meet death, because that's something that's going to happen for all of us. And he happened to know that he had 7 days, and we don't know if we have 7 minutes, maybe. But at some point, it's certain. So misfortune turned to be a great opportunity. And when that end of the 7 days came, he said, "I'm ready. Whatever is supposed to come, let it come. My mind, my consciousness is totally absorbed from this good fortune of meeting Shukadeva and hearing from him in this sense of urgency moment." So misfortune can be beneficial if it's received in this mood of acceptance. Now, some time ago, I have one of my friends is a teacher of Bhagavad Gita. He lives in India, and he was visiting in Washington, D.C. area. And he gave a week-long seminar on Bhagavad Gita, and this was the essence of his presentation, acceptance. So it goes like this. When we don't accept an undesired event, it becomes anger. When we accept it, it becomes tolerance. So these are lessons in Bhagavad Gita. You saw one of them already. When we don't accept uncertainty, it becomes fear. When we accept it, it becomes adventure. I'm one like that. I like adventure. The unknown is really good. When we don't accept others' bad behavior towards us, it becomes hatred. When we accept it, it becomes forgiveness. When we don't accept others' success, it becomes jealousy. When we accept it, it becomes inspiration. And then, acceptance is the key to handling life well. So, lessons of Bhagavad Gita, and it's summarized in the final chapter of Bhagavad Gita. That's this section. Surrender to Krishna, surrender to your spiritual mission and purpose in life, essentially. Now, this is a discussion exercise. And so I'm supposed to divide the group, two groups, A and B, or this side, that side. How do we do this? There's a lot of people here. So, the ladies at this table and over on that side, you're the first group. You sit with whoever you want to sit with and discuss. And then those in this table and that side sit with whoever you want to sit with. And you're the other group, B. So here's what's success. First group. What is success in today's world? How many consider themselves successful? The other group. What's failure in this world? How many consider themselves failures? I'll give you 7-8 minutes. Sit in whatever group you want to sit with. And maybe I'll ask for a volunteer at the end, someone just to kind of summarize your feelings.
Oh, we're all going there? The whole group, right? Okay, perfect.
Smaller groups are better, by the way. 3, 4.
Are you suggesting that some groups within?
Yes, that's what I'm suggesting. I mean, you can do it this way, that's fine, to give everybody a chance to speak, and 2, 3, 4 minutes.
Some of this is familiar to us.
I'm sorry, my mistake. You can do it in a large group if you like, but smaller groups, the more everyone can speak.
And I'll remake this one.
That's okay.